This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll on this Wednesday. A little later than normal. We appreciate Dave St. Peter's time. I thought that was really informative. If you missed it, we'll podcast that like we do every day. You can also watch it later today on WDAY+. I thought he was really honest and upright about exactly how it's going to affect payroll, how it's going to affect talent, all the things that I was wondering. He answered there, so appreciate his time. And like I mentioned, we've been staying on top of this for 2 years because it affects the amount of people around here it does. And we'll anything abreast on that we'll update as well. A couple of things here before we get to Treysen Eaglestaff. Saw Jabril Peppers was placed on the NFL commissioners list after what happened with him. If you read about that, certainly earned that, allegedly, of what went down there. So not good news there for the Patriots standout. Yesterday, as I mentioned, we were in Sioux Falls for Summit League Media Day to get ready for the upcoming basketball season. What Commissioner Josh Fenton told us, likely that the national basketball schedule will be out sometime in the next week, likely probably a week from today, to anticipation of that. University of North Dakota could find itself on there after a third-place finish last year. Fighting Hawks, though, lost in the opening round of the Summit League tournament. Saw their best player, B.J. Omont, go into the transfer portal, maybe their second-best player, and Tyra Iheanacho also went into the portal, each going to an ACC and a Big Ten school, as it were, in Cal and Washington. Treysen Eaglestaff is back, though. The Bismarck native, former Mr. Basketball winner, likely, maybe now their best player. He's a first-team preseason selection for the Fighting Hawks. We visited with Treysen yesterday about the upcoming season and expectations now on his shoulders for what's going to be a big UND season. Here at Summit League Media Days with Bismarck native UND standout Treysen Eaglestaff, former Mr. Basketball winner. I feel like an old man. I remember calling your games in high school. Now you're in your third year in college. Does it feel like you're an old man on the team now?
Man, I just turned 20 not too long ago, and I feel it on my knees when the birthday hit too, I remember. But yeah, I am feeling pretty old.
Tell me about the excitement about this upcoming season and now being a leader, being a guy that's looked upon to take a bigger role on this team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's truly a blessing. I've came so far. I think I've represented my state in a pretty good way, and I want to keep doing that. And hoping to play a lot this season. A lot of trust in Coach Shather. Really happy with the team that we have and the people we have on our team.
Yeah.
Big family, and I'm a big family man myself, so I think just having those connections, it's going to be a really good year.
Being back on this floor, does it bring bad memories back of I'm not trying to rip the Band-Aid off of the Omaha game, but how close you guys were and what happened there?
Yeah.
And to build off of that, I guess.
I would say I'm a pretty emotional man when it comes down to like my family and close people around me. So just my seniors losing Brady Danielson, last game ever. I think that one just hit me the most. I could care less basketball. At the end of the day, it's a sport, but I think those ties are matter more. So, I mean, just knowing I could have done more for him and having him go out by Omaha, where he's from, and I think that just hurt the most. But yeah, new year. Don't reflect on the past that much. I'm not the type of guy. I think I'm just taking things day by day, and I'm ready for what comes next.
To be in this world now where the portal comes quick and just I know people talk to you, want to go somewhere else. BJ obviously did. Tell me how you handled that, to say, you know what, you made a commitment, you were going to come back to UND, and how you handled that this past offseason.
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of conversations that went into that option or that discussion. My good friend Joe Hurlbert, he a class of mine, went to Davidson. He keeps telling me just to stay down, and it just comes through my head a lot because like the ups and downs, there's obviously got to have a constant, and so. Me personally, I've just been staying down, trying to just do me the best I can. But it's a good relationship with Coach Shather. I'm a really good family guy, and I consider Coach Shather part of my family that I've built here at UND. So, I mean, yeah, just the connections I built here at UND and everything else has helped a lot.
How do you take the next step? People have seen you play. What's the next step for Treysen Eaglestaff for this upcoming year?
The maturity, like my body, everything. I've said my freshman year, my sophomore year, there was a big difference in my maturity. Still wasn't what it needed to be, but it was improvement, and that's all I can ask for. And I think this season I'll make another improvement on my maturity and just being able to handle mental and physical things a lot better. And that's what comes with being a veteran and the Summit League.
You have another influx of new guys. How have you handled that, and expectation-wise, knowing you guys had a heck of a year last year, finished third, to build on that for this upcoming season?
Yeah, so like that type of stuff, like Amar, I know that feels Amar a lot, and Amar's one of those guys that like gets that feeling, gets pumped, and like you don't want to be in front of him when he gets to that mode. I'm more of a calm guy, and I'm more of like just a relaxed. So me personally, if I just stay in my right mental space and just get everyone around me to do better, so then I can do better and just build off each other, I think that really helps us. So I think just me going into practice every day and not worrying about the past or the future, and just going day by day and telling guys like, hey, you did good today, now go do the same thing again tomorrow. And it's the consistency of those little things that those add up and become a big thing eventually.
I thought of you right away when I heard about you guys going to be playing in Bismarck. Tell me, when did you first hear about it and your reaction about going back home to play a college basketball game?
So originally they told me my sophomore year, and like the summer to my sophomore year, they're like, hey, we might have a game in Biz, because we had 2 of their Bismarck guys coming up, and I was like, hey, like, let's do it. And then he's like, well, it's in the works, but we also thought about Newtown and the Forebears Arena, and I was
that'd
like,
be something else too.
And I was like, the whole res would come to that game for sure. But yeah, just like the fact that they thought about me and this North Dakota in general, and they asked me if they wanted to have like some expedition games or like a green and white squad versus like go to Belcourt and play, just so they can see how like that's just love for the state, and I appreciated that. So when I found out the Bismarck game was for real, Mom was freaking out, whole family's like, I'm there, all the cousins hit me up, so yeah, it was exciting for sure.
You have a lot of memories of the Bismarck Event Center. What comes right to mind about when I ask you that, about playing in that building?
I'm going to say my senior year, obviously the WA championship against Jamestown, but my senior year, I think I had like 40, and I was so tired. I told my boy Carter Sims to pass the ball against Mandan. Didn't pass it, shot it. I was so mad. Went in. I was happiest I've ever been in my life in that moment. I remember I was so relieved. So they called him Civic Sims after that, so I'm going to say that's my best memory. And
to now have a Division I basketball memory to add to that, what do you think that's going to be like for you?
I mean, I'm not a lot of people can say that they played at the Civic in college and in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, just like I just love Biz. I'm a big fan of Bismarck. It's done so much for me, and I've tried to give back to the community as much as I can. So, I mean, just playing in that Civic Center with all the tradition and all the basketballs and shots I've made in that gym, it's truly a blessing.
Last question, and I'll ask you, I know I've asked you this before. Do you feel like you carry the state, not necessarily on your shoulders, but representing North Dakota out there? And how much have you embraced doing that?
I don't know if I have, but I try my hardest. I'll say that. I know from North Dakota there's a lot of people that can't get what they want or can't get looked at as much because we're such an unpopulated state, and that's just part of life. You just got to live with it. But, I mean, I try to represent the best I can. I'll say that. I don't know if I do a good job, but I try my hardest.
You do pretty well, my man.
And I embrace that for sure. Just seeing the struggle from North Dakota, my coach asked me like where I went every weekend, because the next one weekend you'll see me in Belcourt, when I'll go to Fort Yates, go to Biz. I stayed in Minot for some of the summer.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all over that state, and I just know so many people there. So, I mean, just try to hold on for my state, and if I can represent the best I can, that's truly a blessing. And I have the audience, and I have the stage to do it. So.
I have one last one. Having Alabama come to Grand Forks, I mean, just wrap your mind around that and what that atmosphere is going to be like at the Betty that night.
I was in Mulhall, North Dakota when I got that text message.
Yeah.
Saw the Instagram post, hosting Bama, about 60 to 75 DMs, Instagram, like 200 text messages. I was running the whole camp over there. My aunt stops the camp. Hey, when are tickets coming out? I said, I gotta help these kids out first, and I'll get back to you. And then she was like, all right, sounds good. But I mean, having such a good basketball team, a bunch of returners. I remember I was at Larry Suggs' house, it's Jalen Suggs' dad, in Florida at the time when they were playing in the Final Four, or when they were playing UNC. And I remember watching that game, and they're just obviously Nelson represents the state very well. But yeah, that game's gonna be very, very fun. It's a privilege to have them come down to good old North Dakota and play in the Betty. So yeah, it's gonna be really cool.
It's great to see you. Good luck this
upcoming year. Thank you.
Right?
I appreciate it.
There's our conversation we had with Treysen Eaglestaff yesterday as part of our Summit League Media Day coverage. And first off, he's done an amazing job representing for the state, representing for his people. The amount of people that follow him is amazing. And when he won Mr. Basketball a couple years ago, that was about as popular a win as I can remember over the last few years. And I saw him play as a freshman. at Bismarck High. Like, first of all, this guy's got some different ability there. Jordan Wilhelm was a friend of the show, longtime Bismarck boys basketball coach we've had on the show. I think we had him on when Treysen committed to UND to tell us about what kind of player could translate to the Summit League level. And you've seen it. I mean, he hit the record for UND threes in a game. I think we had him on the day after that happened. And you saw his highlight reel there during our interview of what he provided last year for the Fighting Hawks. And now it's going to be different. He's going to be the guy. I think when visiting with Paul Sather about that yesterday when we were down there, that I don't think there's any debating that he's going to be the primary guy to try and score the basketball for UND. Kaluovic, who's down there, who's their fierce rebounder, the JUCO, the transfer they got last season, who's another member of the first team preseason Summit League selections. He's more of a rebounding defensive force, not necessarily known as a scorer. He can, but Eaglestaff can fill it up, and we've seen it time and time again. I'll be really intrigued to see how that goes for UND for next season. The preseason polls came out. Eric was busy getting these ready yesterday when we were on the air, and Kansas City was picked first on the men's side. And you're wondering, okay, Kansas City? Really? Well, they have the most returners. That's the bare bones of that right there. Preseason polls are that just based on last season. South Dakota State, and you'll hear from Eric Henderson either later this week or maybe early next week, that the Jacks return no starters, and yet they were picked second. Wrap your mind around that. That's simply because of the talent that the Jackrabbits possess. The Bison were picked third with 3 first-place votes. I picked the Bison third as well, knowing full well that they have a couple starters back, but also have 8 new guys on their roster. St. Thomas is picked fourth. The Tommies finished fourth a season ago. Oral Roberts fifth. They got 2 first-place votes. They bring Isaac McBride back. Remember, the Golden Eagles finished 8th last year. They played in the play-in game with South Dakota last year. Then UND at 6. They also got a first-place vote. South Dakota at 7. Eric Peterson's team hopes for health. They were banged up all last year. They bring back Caleb Stewart, guy who went for, I think, 38 against the Bison last year. Then Omaha without Frankie Fiddler, and then Denver without Tommy Bruner. That's as simple as it gets. I mean, the 2 best guys in the league last year, you could argue, and Bruner and Fiddler, to put up there with Mayo, William Kyle, Omont, Morgan, all those guys are gone. And again, just get ready for it. But that's where the preseason poll went out on the men's side. And again, for me, when I have a vote in that, it was like a dartboard. I picked the Jacks first. I think South Dakota State may have the best talent, and I think they have one of the best coaches that certainly got the most out of them. The Bison will be in the mix, though, as well. On the women's side, no surprise. South Dakota State was picked to win the league, and rightfully so. The Jacks have everybody back. The fact that Oral Roberts or the Bison got a first-place vote is kind of shake your head at that. Oral Roberts will be awfully good. I know there might be some that upset the Bison were third, but remember what North Dakota State lost last season with Evan Hamling and L. Evans both moving on. Now, they might be deeper. I'll agree with that, but I don't know if they're as good as Oral Roberts. Ruthie Odomo is back, who's really good. J.C. Ogilvy is back, really good. Talia Jones is back, really good. They don't play a lick of defense, but they can score. South Dakota at 4, St. Thomas at 5. Coyotes, it's a top-heavy league. I'm going to tell you that right now. The top 4 are light years ahead of everybody else. St. Thomas, Denver, UND, Kansas City, and Omaha, it's going to be a struggle. The top 4 is going to rack up wins against the bottom 5. And then, frankly, 2, 3, and 4 are a couple steps behind number 1 there. Haley Timmer and Callie Tyson are both back for the Jackrabbits, who are dynamite players. And they went undefeated last year against Summit League teams, and they weren't even completely healthy. What are they going to do when they have everybody back? It's a scary part for Summit League fans there. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap things up. Of course, we got Bison Media Zone coming up here in just a few minutes, and we'll get you ready for a great Sporting Wednesday. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps right after this.